Hopefully hear me grunting, because this is pretty good work. All the crazy crap in this one. There it is right there. Look at that. Is that not beautiful? Alright, trying to introduce you all to the creek swamp. Give you another heads up on this little ancient creek bed that flows through here. I'm going to walk into it one direction and show you. This is one side of it here. So I come down out of the edge. You can see the drop. It comes down. This is the old ancient creek bank, and then you drop down into these. This is where the creek used to flow. It filled with water recently, a little bit of rain. It was dry, but then you turn back this way, and I'm going to walk you through here. Hopefully I won't get on a snake, but I'm looking. A lot of poison ivy to be in here with shorts, but I'm going to sacrifice so I can bring the show to you. Now we're coming up through some, I've seen cottonmouths in here laying in the middle of the trail. And there's probably one in here. I just need to get my glasses on. That's what it takes to keep from getting bit. They're mean and ugly. Now here we go. I'm walking through the creek. I'm down in this ancient creek bed right now. I'm going to show you how it's like a snake. It serpentines through here. And then if you look up over here, you can see how it rises up. But the ancient people used to live on the shore of this. I don't know, 3,000 years ago. It's kind of muddy in here. It stays, when it's really no water in it, it's rare. It's really dry this year. And you can see what I'm talking about, the poison ivy. You go wading through it with ankle socks on, you'll love it. Now, this creek, it serpentines back this way. And then what happens, see, it's dry as a bone here, and this thing is still muddy. This is an ancient creek bed we're walking in. There's no telling what's in the bottom of it. There's a beer bottle, and it goes up here and takes a left. I hadn't been in here in a long time, since Hurricane Ida. What it does, it comes up here and it goes back this way. So it comes from back there and turns and goes back. And then up there it turns and goes back. If you can see my finger, to go back this way. And it'll end up in there going toward the main road. The creek being through those bushes that way, 100 yards maybe. So the creek used to flow up this way further, 500-600 yards, 1,000 years ago. We're looking at where they used to live, where people used to live on the ancient shore of the creek, that far away from where the creek is today. If that makes any sense. And it does. You just have to, I have to introduce you to the property because I've been here 40 years and it's easy for me to say. You don't need much to look. This is what my hole looks like most of the time. There's a cut spot down in there. It's been rained in and washed in several times over the years. Flood filled it up twice. I had to dig it back out. There's a lot of stuff in here that I buried back. Big clay deposits, stumps, posts. I didn't dig them out. There's charcoal down in this ground 8 feet deep. It's just like a never-ending supply of it. There's probably a paleo layer in here that I don't have the equipment to get to it. So I'm using a shovel, and my sifter arrangement is a tripod arrangement. Carbinders that hook my basket up. This is what I was going to record, my setup. I've had, this is about the, these two baskets, about the 4th and 5th one I've made over 17 years. The camera's kind of cumbersome on my head, but I'm going to give you try to give you a shot of what my method is here. 4 inches of this dirt was put here in 2016 when this place got flooded. I'll have to put pictures up to show you that. Massive flood in our lifetime. It's been flooded several times over the centuries. Which buried all this stuff down in here. And I get down in there like this. The ground's real dry right now. I've dug it dry and I've dug it muddy. I've dug it all different ways. It doesn't matter how dry or wet it is, the artifacts are in there, they're not going anywhere. And here's what we got. We got a basket full of dirt. I shake down most of it. I'll get up here. And I shake it sideways. Make it lighter because it's pretty heavy. gets out of whack, it takes a good bit of physical work. This ain't like walking in the field and there it is on the ground, so you got to find these. If that becomes cumbersome or too physical, you can throw less dirt in the basket, which is obvious, or you can scratch them through here and loop and get the dirt out of here. Right there. Rocks, flakes, there you go. We talked about chasing flakes. Alright. I went down into this spot here. You'll see how big it is. It's not very big. Not very big spot. This is typical of this place. Look at the chips in this one sift. Big percussion flakes, mediums, all the way down to little pressure flakes. People sit around here living, eating, surviving, making their projectiles for the next hunt, just on a daily basis. Just like we would get up and go to work, they were doing this for a living. They were living for a living. All right, dig and dig and dig. Sifters and sifters full of chips and flakes, chasing flakes. We already went through that. I found something that I've only found on the river, and I'll wash it off and show it. This is an agate. That is, well, that is a dropped rock. That is like a volcanic, a liquefied rock that was included inside of another rock. You don't find these much. I've only found them on the river. So I found this. I'm going to wash it and show you how it looks. It's translucent. It is an agate, and it's the first one I found in here in 16 years. Someone brought that here from the river or the creek. So a prehistoric man found a prehistoric rock and brought it into their camp 3,000 years ago. That found a piece of pottery on top. Now you can watch this as I go over here. You'll see what I'm talking about. I just dug out a piece of what I call magnetite, or I think that's what it's called. I call it iron rock, and I can't even find it now. Let me see where it is. I don't know. I'll find it. I was getting up into here and I was digging all kinds of flakes, and I said we was chasing flakes, and here comes the piece. It's always that. Now, may have chipped an ear on it, I don't know. We go at it pretty easy. We slide in. Yeah, there's a ding on there, which is that piece is in here somewhere, but it's going to be hard to find. But that's a whole piece. There you go. Those come out. This one came out right here. It was up in there like that. So, good example. Here's the hematite. This piece was right under it. There's no telling what's next door to it. This is an iron, some kind of iron rock that's all over this hole. I got piles of it. They used to use it for anvils or something. But here's your point. There's one. Good example of chasing flakes right there. Not sure the type on it. It's kind of tricky. It's a corner notch. Nice piece. I'm going to lay it right down here. I'm going to put it with the agate. And be careful, there might be one right next door to it. An old buck has come to see his old buddy. Old buck. He's going to be in the video before long. He just don't know it yet. He works for free and he's real nice and he don't bark or nothing. Ain't that right, Buck? He's a good old dog. Yes, sir. He come down here to get hugged on. He's gonna go hunt pigs now. See you later, Buck. Which is fortunate. I've done made this basket too heavy now. Most people might do this once. They're not going to do this. They're not going to dig up a pasture for half their life. Me, I probably ain't most people. I've been digging on this since 2007, and I discovered pottery in here probably in 1988 or 9. Back before anybody was really digging. They were just mostly everybody finding stuff in fields. What their idea is about what this will. They actually named a lot of these points after locations and people. Like the Collins Point, for instance, named after Henry Collins, a man that was one of the mentors in the 20s, I think. He was from Alabama. I don't know who Gary Point named after, some guy named Gary. One of the cousins, the Gary cousins. But all those points were named from different professors, archaeologists from back in the 20s and 30s. Henry Collins, James Ford, Gordon Willey. They wrote books, very thorough, complicated books that probably have to read 2 or 3 times to understand, even if you can do that. Alright, we're going back into another spot before it gets too hot. I'm going to go right here. It's getting dusty. Afraid my camera's going to get dirt in them working on this situation. Hear me grunting because this is pretty good work. My friends, they go in creeks. Ooh, that sounded very abrupt and rough. Look, there you go. You see that? Are you seeing that? I hit that pretty hard. Wasn't expecting. That's why you need to go take it easy. Boy, that's a fine process. I may have broke that, I may not. We'll find out in the basket. I sift with a 1/4 inch cloth. That popped up out of there. It's shallow too. So the things you got to do, that's what we were hunting. It's not finished on the base yet, but it was square. I don't think I broke that, but I've hit it pretty hard. But that piece is in here. I've repaired and put 20 or 5 or 30 of them back together. So that's what we're looking at right there, folks. Let me show this camera. There it is. That's what we come here for. I'll give you a better look in a minute. That's a fine piece right there. It's twisted. Twisty. Up in here. There's something else in there. I just felt it thud. Hope maybe something else. Let's see what's happening. The good thing about looking in here is you can find stuff in 10 minutes. Most of the time. I could look all day in the pasture. Ooh, that didn't sound good. I hate that. And not find anything, and then I can come down here in 10 minutes and I can find something that's here. You guys got to work to get it. Let me scrape in there with my. It's right there. I feel that's just a little old pebble. Most of the broke ones I have found were ancient breaks, and I found the other end of them 50 feet away from where I found both halves in here. 3 years apart, 50 feet away. Just, it's everywhere because of the, that was a pretty, there's stuff in here. This is getting to be pretty healthy hole here. Alright, I'm going to get into this basket and see. I got an idea that if that piece broke, it's in here. See something already right there. Look at that big piece. Something right here. Let's shake it down. This is a whole basket full of crazy crap in this one. There ain't no telling what's in here. Get me finding stuff and I'll never leave. I'll be here all day. Get hot and go jump in the creek. Something. Gosh, dog it, briars. Alright, gotta get all this crap out of your way. It's getting to be a little bit warm now. There's a rock. There it is right there. Look at that. Is that not beautiful? And we were talking about Henry Collins. And I want you to look at that right there. Let me go get my other camera. Wow. What a beautiful. Hadn't been in here 30 minutes. That's why I love this place. I want you to look at that right there. Let me see if this thing's on. The battery's probably dead. Alright, let's see if it'll come on. This one here. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. That's what I hit up in there a minute ago. I heard it. That is it right there. You don't think... Let me get a new... Try to get that in there. You see that? You see that right there? That's fine as a... Ooh, look at that. My God, look how fine that is. Ooh, man. That is, it's heavy too. What a fine piece of work. Look at that thing. There was a pontchartrain all day long. I thought it was a Collins, but it's not. Look at the ridge on that sucker. Look at that. Wow. This is blowing me away. I haven't found a fine one like that. That is a good Lord have mercy. Look at that thing. I'll stick it in my mouth, but I don't want to get dirt in my mouth. I'll get it cleaned up. But there ain't nothing more perfect than that right there, folks. Look at the color on that, and they ain't even wet. Ooh, man. What a gem of a piece. That is a G10. What they'd call a G10 all day. Look at that. Oh, man. Right in the sifter. That's what I was telling you. I'm not even through yet. Look at all this. Wow. I'm almost shut down because of that. That might be the end of this. That might be the end of this video. But I'm going to find something else up in here now. I'll probably be here sweating for 2 more hours. Let's find it. I cannot believe how fine that thing is right there. Alright. Catching my breath after being in shock at the beauty of this piece right here. I want y'all to see this, and I hope you can. I'm gonna take this off again and get it. Make sure I get it in here. That is a G10 pontchartrain point. I was thinking it was Collins, but it's not. It's just a little longer, but it ain't the biggest pontchartrain. But I'm gonna tell you what, that's lethal right there. Somebody was sitting around here making these things. That man who made this, it could have been a woman, and it could have been a first grader in our age group. That is just fine right there. Look at that. Good Lord. I'm going to leave it in here and shake. I don't know. I better take it and put it in my watch pocket. That right there will get you stirred up and make you dig for 5 days straight right there. That's what keeps you coming in here. That's why I dug this place up. Good Lord, I hadn't found one like that in a long. See if I can find. You gotta really look tight, look close, look really close before you go dumping anything. I'm not gonna dump this. I'm gonna put it on my. But you know, once you put it in a jar full of 10,000 pieces, you'll never find it. So you find it now if you're gonna find it. You really look it over and make sure get all these roots out of here. It's always constant. That piece, that arrowhead is one of the finest ones I've ever found. I have found some fine arrowheads. That one right there. Woo-wee. That's a contest winner right there, son. Not that I'm going to enter it, but at the same time, boy, that gets you fired up. Spike and Herman's going to love that. Oh my God, I'm so glad I didn't break that thing in half. I'm worried now where it is. It's in my watch pocket. Boy, I hate to lose it. I'll probably put it through the washing machine or something accidentally. That piece, and I'll go over it some more, but that piece that we just looked at is probably, I put everything in the 1500 BC range, probably 3,500 years old. You're falling back into Poverty Point era. Judging by everything else that comes out of here, it's in the early woodland, middle woodland. I'd say it's early woodland at 2000 BC, maybe middle, when they started using pottery. And I'll go over that some as we get off into these videos, trying to time things and put it in perspective with what's around it. In context, something fell out. There it is.